about a year from now, I'm going to have some Obama withdrawal seminars, counseling seminars, and as the Republican that I am and the entrepreneur that I want to be, I'm going to be selling tickets, and you are welcome to come. And when, you know, our economy is still struggling, when people are still trying to find jobs, when they're taxing people like crazy, creating a disincentive for people to go out and take risk, and we're still struggling, then I'll have open therapy seminars you're welcome to come to.
You said you cut the deficit in half. It's now 4 years later. We still have trillion-dollar deficits. My view is that we ought to provide tax relief to people in the middle class. The people who are having a hard time right now are middle-income Americans. Under the president's policies, middle-income Americans have been buried. They're just being crushed. Middle-income Americans have seen their income come down by $4,300. At the same time, gasoline prices have doubled under the president. Electric rates are up. Food prices are up. Health care costs have gone up by $2,500 a family. If you're reelected, we'll get to a trillion-dollar debt. I mean, you have said before you'd cut the deficit in half. In order to bring the cost of health care down, we don't need to have a board of 15 people telling us what kinds of treatments we should have. I think something this big, this important, has to be done on a bipartisan basis. And we have to have a president who can reach across the aisle and fashion important legislation with the input from both parties. And what we're seeing right now is, in my view, a trickle-down government approach, which has government thinking it can do a better job than free people pursuing their dreams, and it's not working. And the proof of that is 23 million people out of work. The proof of that is 1 out of 6 people in poverty. The proof of that is we've gone from 32 million on food stamps to 47 million on food stamps. The proof of that is that 50% of college graduates this year can't find work. We know that the path we're taking is not working. It's time for a new path.
Anytime I need his help, whether it be an event or a certificate or a phone call, an email or something like that. And for me, loyalty is among the top 3 in my values, along with belief in God and honesty. I am in support of Congressman McKeon.
The one I like is payback to Senator Reid for a project to send a high rail transit from LA to Las Vegas. Help me out. I don't understand this. Why should this be something I should pay for? This doesn't stimulate any jobs for us here in Santa Clarita. So once again, I thank Buck.
I would like the City Council to consider possibly sending a commendation to our congressman for all of his hard work for the Santa Clarita Valley, his help with the opposition on the CMEX mine, and everything he does to do what is the very best for our residents.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong support of H.R. 5652. 50% of the savings that we have already generated this year have come from the military cuts. And we're talking about adding another $500 to $600 billion on top of that next January with sequestration. That's over $1 trillion a year coming out of military over the next 10 years, while defense spending only accounts for 20% or less than 20% of our budget, and while we're fighting a war in Afghanistan and facing other uncertainties around the world. Let me remind everyone here of the major consequences of sequestration. 200,000 troops will be taken out of the Army and the Marines, bringing our force level down below pre-9/11 levels. Ability to respond to contingencies in North Korea and Iran and other places, hotspots around the world, will be put in jeopardy. A fleet of fewer than 230 ships, the Navy that has protected the sea lanes around the world, our commerce, 95% of our commerce travels on the sea. They've protected that since World War II. They'll be taken down to pre-World War I levels. We'll have a smaller Air Force than any time since the Air Force was created, and 2 rounds of base closure. That's why Secretary Panetta has said it's not shooting ourselves in our foot with sequestration, it's shooting ourselves in the head. That's why 31 organizations representing more than 5.5 million American troops and veterans have called on Congress to act immediately to prevent these catastrophic cuts to our military. Mr. Speaker, I urge all members to support our troops, support our national security, and support this bill.